Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another fun discussion with Miss Frances. And we're going to call our show Talks with Kelly and Frances, or Frances and Kelly, whatever. Whatever. Today, we're actually going to talk about destigmatizing and de-romancing the spiritual journey. I think that it's really important for people to understand that spirituality is something that everyone has every single day of your life, from the day you were born until the day you die, and then some. It's not some weird religion. It's not unattainable. It's something that you do in everyday life. It's your choice how connected you are. It's how, and your choice how far you take it. Frances and I both are passionate about this subject because we are both really starting to learn to enjoy the moment that you're in and the coolness of being tapped into your spirituality and the coolness of synchronicities and, being able to talk to people that understand what you've experienced and understand what you're feeling. And there's so many people that have come to me and said, oh, I'm so glad to have somebody to finally talk to about these things. So we're just going to keep talking about these things, because I think that even people who are embracing being spiritual are finding it very difficult and maybe even uncomfortable sometimes to just walk in who you are and be able to enjoy the journey, even when you're around people that just don't get it. And so hopefully your takeaway from this show and many shows to come will be to learn how to just be comfortable with who you are and where you are, regardless of what level of the journey you're on. And yeah, right? Chime in anytime you want, Frances.
I mean, Kelly, you hit the nail right on the head, didn't you? I mean, it all starts with that simple question: who am I?
Right,
Not who you're told you should be, not
right.
who it's been impressed upon that you should be, not who it's being dictated upon by society that you should be, but who are you? And
Yeah,
until you're really able to answer that question for yourself, you'll always be floundering along,
right.
you know? And I feel that that is what spirituality is. It is the getting in contact with self, with the spirit that's within, right?
Yes,
And it's different for everyone. There's no, there's no recipe book.
right.
You don't wake up one day and suddenly you can do the doggy pose in yoga. That's not spirituality.
Right.
Those are all tools in the toolbox, right? That help you ground and help you focus. But
Yes.
spirituality is it's an essence that cannot be named. It's an energy, it's a force, and it comes from within. And it is a force that is so unyielding that you, when you know it is within, it's different for many people. It's a lifelong journey, like you said, from the minute you pop out to the minute you drop down. It's a lifelong journey. Um, and there'll be, with journeys, there'll be ups and downs, there'll be peaks and valleys, there'll be points of doubt. But that's when you have to
Yeah.
push through. But it is a beautiful, beautiful, an incredible journey. And that's when you know that you are on the right path, because it should be seamless and organic. You know, the creator did not create us to suffer in the creator's name. That makes absolutely no
Right.
sense.
Right.
You know?
We were created
And that,
to enjoy our journey.
yeah. And that's why it's different for everyone. Awakening moments can seem similar. Experiences along the journey will be similar, but it's not an arithmetic class where by the time you're in a certain grade, you need to be at a certain point. No,
Yeah.
you've got the rest of your life to continue.
Yeah. There's no cookie cutter way to do it. Right. And I was just reminded actually to say, to add to what you just said, that there, like you said, there's no specific way to do it, and everybody does it differently. But it's even more simple than that, really, because I mean, just being present in the moment of brushing your teeth is being in contact with your spiritual self. I mean, the simplest thing
Right.
that you do, and just being conscious of it, just being aware of it. You know, yeah, there's plenty of things in our everyday life that we could focus on and give energy to and say, you know, those things aren't so great. But if you try to find those little things to be aware of, to really appreciate in life, you know, that really changes everything about your, what we talk about when we say your vibration or your joy level, your ability to enjoy this life that you're experiencing, which is the whole reason we're here, is to experience life. And Francis and I were actually having a conversation the other day about how some people can stand barefoot on a newspaper and read the newspaper by tapping into their higher self. And that sounds like a very hard feat to achieve for just anybody. But I was thinking about this earlier today when I was thinking about this topic and us talking tonight. And I compared it to brushing teeth. Because if you're just on autopilot, right, just automatically brushing your teeth, rushing through your day, then you're not really noticing anything about brushing your teeth, except that they got clean, right? But if you close your eyes when you brush your teeth, which I do every day when I brush my teeth, I shut my eyes to brush. And you can feel every crevice and every groove and every bristle of the brush and where it touches in your teeth and in your mouth. You feel everything going on to the point where you're actually like seeing it with your mind's eye. You're seeing all of that action happening inside of your mouth, right? Because you're present in that moment. And people don't realize that when they're doing something like that, or when they're, you know, not paying attention, not looking, but doing something with their hands, or when they catch something when it's falling, you're really tapping into your spiritual side. That's what that is. So you are spiritual
All the senses are
all the
working.
time.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not aware of it.
How about sometimes you're just doing something and you feel the need to go to the door. You get to the door, the doorbell didn't ring, but oop, there's a package there. You know, what is that?
Right.
You know, there are many different names. Some people refer to it as spirit, intuition, the knowing.
Yeah.
But we all have that. We're all gifted with that.
Yes.
But
Yes.
what happens is that it gets cluttered and it gets contaminated. You know, you look at children, when children are out and they're playing out and about, you know, for them, there is no distinction between, you know, wearing a nice pair of shoes. You know, if there's water on the ground, they want to splash because they want to feel that sensation. They want to see that sensation, right? But then they get to a certain age and we say, don't do that because you're going to ruin your shoes. Well, what's more important, the shoes that they'll outgrow, or the growth and enhancement of their senses and their vibration and the
Right.
joy that they feel, that they in turn radiate outwards.
Right.
See, it's about having joy, finding joy in everything you do. You're brushing your teeth, your eyes are closed, you're present in that moment of brushing your teeth, and you are having joy in that moment. You're not there trying to rush through brushing your teeth because you're making your to-do list of everything that you need to get done. You're just present in that moment and you're pausing. And
Yeah,
it truly is a gift
it
and a
is.
joy to be able to be present in the moment.
Yes, it absolutely is. And and
You know,
even with like gratefulness, it seems like a daunting task to people when you say to be grateful, to say your gratitudes. But it's really not. I mean, it's not like you have to write out this list that you remember to read off every day, right? It's just as you go through your day. I'm grateful for brushing my teeth. I'm grateful to have teeth to brush. I'm grateful that they're good teeth.
right,
I'm grateful that I have a good
right,
toothbrush. I'm grateful for good toothpaste that
right.
doesn't have fluoride. you know?
You know, I'm grateful that my hands function, that I can brush
Yes,
my teeth. I'm grateful that I woke up today. You
exactly.
know,
Yes,
I'm grateful that I got to see the day. You
yes,
know, even if it was an imperfect day, it doesn't matter because you got to see it. And then tomorrow brings new hope. It brings the opportunity for a do-over, another
right,
chance. There are
right.
so many moments in life that we have to be grateful for. And this is where the romanticizing of spiritual awakening has really contaminated the process, because you say gratitude and humans start going through their records looking for, something big. I'm grateful that I got my
Grateful.
bonus. I'm, grateful that I was able to get so and so their gift,
Right.
but they miss the real important things. I'm grateful that I got to see the sky change color as sunset.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I got to witness the birds fly. I'm grateful for the thank you card that the postman left me. It's the little things.
Absolutely.
Yes, so it's raining. Go out and splash in a puddle.
Yeah.
When was the last time an adult intentionally
Yeah.
splashed in a puddle?
That's what I was going to say. Actually, when
I've
you
heard,
brought up the puddle, it's about that child wonder again, right? Like, what is
yes,
wrong with us as adults tapping into childhood wonder, childhood creativity, childhood joy, right? I mean, like, who really is it that's telling us, and why are they telling us that because we're an adult, we're adulting, and we can't have fun and we can't have joy and we can't just have that childhood wonder, you know?
it's you say the childhood wonder, and it reminds me of these things that I absolutely despise. um, but I can see the benefit of some people really enjoying them. But there are all these books that you can buy, and they're numbered, so they're images, and the images are numbered, and the color of either the paint, the pencil, or the crayon is actually given to
All
use the
right.
corresponding color for the corresponding number. And
Yeah.
then you create these pieces of perfect, sterile, I don't know what. I liked the childhood of coloring outside of the box, of
Yeah.
what made it uniquely you,
Yeah.
what showed your skills.
Mhm.
What if I want to use the green for number 5? Why does somebody else decide that the blue is a much more perfect
Rebel.
color? You know, so these, there are these little ways that these things have crept into our lives that sort of start to dictate how we're supposed to be. You
Right.
know, when, you know, now I see on a lot of things that ask you about your religion, and you now have the option of other or spiritual. And everybody's checking off spiritual, but I wonder whether people really know what spiritual means.
Yeah.
Because I've tried to have conversations with people, and they've said, oh, well, you know, I believe that there's something out there, but I don't go to church. But spiritual is not a replacement for religion. Religion is an
Right.
organized thing.
Two separate
It's
things. Yeah.
a whole, yeah.
Right.
Spiritual is a way of life.
Right.
Simple.
Yeah.
It's a way of life.
Right. Spirit,
You
being
know,
spiritual
you
is life.
either embrace it.
I mean, it is
Yeah,
life. Even if
it
you're
is
not
life.
embracing it, you're still a spiritual being having a human experience,
Yeah,
whether you realize that or not,
yeah,
you know? So,
yeah.
yeah, I think they romanticize that word, and they even sort of put a stigma on it, you know? In some groups,
Mm-hmm.
to say you're spiritual is like a dirty word. I might as well tell people that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a witch or whatever, because it's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. It's a word that's been corrupted. And even witch,
Yes,
which is
that's
maybe not really on the same
corrupt.
subject, but the word witch has been corrupted, because what was a witch
Corrupted.
originally was someone who was intuitive and psychically gifted. Their gifts were enhanced more than the other people's. And so they used that, and they actually did try to help people. Like, they really were trying to help people.
Mhm.
And then it was turned into something horrid and evil and, you know, stigmatized. So if you say that you're a witch today, people look at you differently. And it's not accurate, and it's not fair. Because for someone
And
to
it's
say,
unfortunate.
it is unfortunate. It is.
Yeah. And it's
Because,
all based on assumption without conversation.
right. So for them
You
to
know,
stigmatize the labels, the wording, is really an unfair advantage that, again, keeps you from really waking up to who you are. They put those fear factors in the way that give you this dogma, this negative connotations for it, that says, oh, maybe I don't really want to do that. But really, like, for someone to be psychic, for someone to be a medium, is just you, any other person who has enhanced what God gave all of us, what our
mm-hmm.
creator gave to everyone. We every one of us are psychic naturally. And that's what it is to be spiritual,
Intuition.
to tap into that, to listen to that feedback that's happening, that constant influx of information. To refuse to look at that is simply to refuse your true nature.
So well said. So well said. And it's the corruption of the word. That's really what's occurred, is the corruption of the words. So you've got the corruption of the words spiritual, where if you say, oh no, I'm a spiritualist, you know, people want to start stepping back. They're wondering if they should start, like, splashing you down with holy water or
Right.
something, or they want to be openly kind to you because they think you're going to do something negative to them. Again, assumption without conversation, you know. Or if you say, oh, I'm a witch, you get the same thing. And then you get on the opposite end, you have people who will say things like, oh, so you must do a lot of meditation, you must like yoga. So
Right.
there's the corruption and there's the romanticized version,
Right.
like I'm walking around with a yoga mat. I can barely touch my toes, and it's like folks don't understand that as you get more in contact with yourself, your inner self, your true soul, your soul's purpose, the ability to listen to yourself, you will find activities that you naturally gravitate towards. Not because, oh, somebody wrote it in a book and it's a prescription for you, but activities that you naturally gravitate towards that just make you feel good, and you automatically embody them in an organic manner into your life. It's the same thing. You could wake up and realize, you know what? I don't want to eat those foods anymore. You
Right.
know, there are the whole myriad of changes that occurs with you
Yes.
as you go through the process of spiritual elevation and being in contact with the part of your soul that's on this earth.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was a very good point, that we don't need to fit in a box to walk a spiritual path. Like, you don't have to be a vegan. You don't have to be a vegetarian. You don't have to be a non-smoker or a non-drinker. You know, you can still do those
You
things.
don't have to be a non-swearer.
Right. Right.
You can still
Exactly.
have
I mean, when people,
a foul mouth.
that's actually a great thing, because I cuss like a sailor sometimes. And then people are like, oh, I would have never expected that out of you because you're spiritual. Well, what's that matter? You know, I'm still,
You
if I
are
stub my toe, I'm still
spiritual.
gonna cuss, right? That's just who I am. If I
And
stub
here's
my
the
toe, I'm
thing,
cussing. That's it.
you are spiritual, but before that, you're a human. So
Right.
you're a human
Right.
on a spiritual journey in this existence of life. You
Right.
know, being spiritual does not mean being perfect.
No. Right. Exactly. Like, you're not perfect. You're not.
There's this idea that when you're spiritual, you know, you're so good
You have to
and
be.
you're and life itself is perfect. Actually, no. When you're spiritual, life can be more challenging
Right. Exactly. It really can be. And I don't want to say that
because
to like thwart people from wanting to go down that journey. I don't want to tell them that,
no,
because it's not like just
not at all.
because this is, but just because
No,
there will be, you are going to look at
just
tests and checks and balances, and, you know, looking inward. And I mean, that stuff has to happen in order to grow. It has to. Yeah.
and you do, and one thing I find is I've been doing a lot more reflection.
Right.
And when you're spiritual, the things that you reflect upon that you thought were mistakes, you actually see them as the learning opportunity. You see the lessons in them,
Right.
and they're no longer mistakes, and you can let them go.
Yes. And
You
that,
know,
and that in turn,
spiritual does not mean
heal. Yeah. And that's how you heal. And that's how you grow to a higher
yes,
vibration. Yes. I mean, it's a
yes,
very easily
yes,
attainable concept if you really understand
yes,
the definition of the word. And
yes,
yeah, I mean, it's not, nobody's perfect, right? And I've had so many people that when they find out I'm a smoker, immediately they're like, oh, well, you must be a fake or something then. You must be a fraud. Why am I a fraud just because I smoke cigarettes? That's crazy. Like, just because I smoke a
again,
cigarette, I can't still speak my truth of my journey of enlightenment. Like, people that smoke can't be enlightened.
assumptions,
Yeah, it's the crazy.
assumptions
Right,
without conversation.
right. Because it's been romanticized.
I mean, it's like when people say, oh, it's like when people say, oh, so that means you don't believe in God then. I think that that's the funniest one.
Right. Oh, or you must be a devil worshiper. Yeah, I've had that one
Yeah,
too. Oh, you must be an atheist
yeah,
or a devil worshiper. And I'm like, well,
yes.
Lord, no. I mean, why would you even think that? Why? you know?
because it's actually the opposite. Being spiritual means that you continue to develop a closer connection to the universal life source, to the
Right.
creator.
And the wonder and amazement and miraculousness of it. I mean, the more spiritual you become, the more in awe you are of any kind of life and the way that we all work
It's almost
symbiotically. I mean,
yeah, it's you know, Kelly, it's just some days I wake up and it's like I'm seeing things for the first time,
yes,
you know, through new eyes. When you say in awe, I mean, look at it. It's 11:49 for us now, but it's already tomorrow morning. They're getting ready to wake up for my family. You
right,
know, really think about that. And then just think about Australia. They are going into the new year as we speak. They're
right,
getting ready to start their new year.
right,
And yeah, and we are all on this earth,
yes,
you know? It's just, I don't know. Somebody once said to me, you know, in a meeting at a previous place of employment, I'm so sorry, I just can't be, oh, life is positive. I just can't, you know, get with you on that. Oh, life is positive and everything is positive.
right,
And there's an old Irish saying, it could always be worse, right?
yes,
It could always be worse.
yes,
Okay. So I could be pissed off that it's raining, but I need to give gratitude. Because guess what? I'm not living outside. I've got rain boots. I'm
that's
not
right.
one of those people who don't have feeling in their skin. I could actually feel the raindrops.
Yeah,
And it's not permanent. I get to enjoy the beauty and the changes of the season.
right.
And it's just the simplest things.
Changes your
When you
perspective.
are on your way to work and you stop at the coffee shop and you grab that cup of coffee that you're grabbing may mean nothing to you. It could be $2, $3, may mean nothing. And that's what gratitude is. Knowing that you've been blessed to be afforded that opportunity, that you could actually go and buy that coffee. It doesn't mean that, oh, you feel guilty or you withhold because other people don't have. This is what you've been blessed with for this lifetime.
Right,
But that gratitude that you send through the universe, it reverberates and it comes back to you tenfold because you raise your vibrations. You raise your level of joy. So joy things now start happening and start coming to you, and you change your outlook and more positive things start happening. And even things that are difficult don't seem as daunting because you can see your way through them.
yeah,
I think that's what, you know, that's the misconception that people have. They think you're spiritual, life is perfect, and you sit in a yoga pose on a yoga mat for 12 hours a day
right,
and burn incense or something, and that's it.
yeah,
Or you have to dress a certain way, you
right,
know. It's not the case. You'll go through many, many different experiences. Your sight will change, your senses will change, your sleep patterns will change.
yeah.
You
Eating
might even
good,
have cravings.
yeah. All sorts of things will change because of your journey. And it's not because it's not even
Because your body's telling you what it needs.
exactly. And that's what I was going to say. Like your body is always telling you what it needs. It always has. So to choose to be on the spiritual path is to choose to really listen to your body, to be in tune with your body. It's a choice of loving the self. It's a choice of loving the experience that you're in, even if there are negative things that happen. Because really, and as we raise our awareness, we raise our intellect as well on our perspective and how we look at things. Just like as we grow, things that we thought one way about as a child or a teenager, we no longer think or view that way as an adult because we understand it better. It's the same way with the evolution of spirituality, of walking your spiritual path. Your perception will shift. The way that you look at things will shift. And for me, that song, Amazing Grace, has always been a really poignant song for the spiritual experience, because it says, once I was blind and now I see. I mean, that is like the perfect explanation, the perfect sentence for this experience, because what we once viewed through one lens, we now view through a new lens. And that's all because of the choices that we've made to listen to our body, to grow, to be more connected. And it's not specific or tailored, or excuse me, a cookie cutter template. It's literally tailored to each individual, your own recipe, your own right ways, your own truths. Like, you don't have to meditate to be spiritual. You don't have to do yoga. You don't have to be a vegan. You don't have to anything other than that choice to go within and really experience this world, really experience yourself even, you know, like with the brushing the teeth. That's an experience for me to brush my teeth. It's not a chore because I choose that, you know?
Yes. It's an actual experience, you know, like washing the dishes. You know, you're present whilst you're washing the dishes. You're seeing those bubbles. You might even catch yourself being a child again, trying to blow the bubbles. But you're present in that
a little bit up.
You're enjoying, right? You're enjoying the experience of living.
Yeah.
Instead of
and that's
living,
choice, right? I
mean,
like,
worrying about, you know, instead of living, but worrying about everything that you want and you don't have.
Right.
You're actually enjoying the experience of living.
Right. And actually, the true secret, you know, they write these books about the secret and the secret teachings and all of those, you know, secrets. The real secret is that when you choose to live your life that way, everything in the universe changes for you. And you didn't even have to wish for it to. It just naturally does.
No.
And why is that?
Yeah.
Because the universe is this huge information field. It's picking up and it's transmitting, and it's picking up and it's transmitting. And so whatever your body vibration is putting out is what you get more of in turn from the universe, from your own body even.
That's right.
Because if you're joyful in the bubbles in your dishwater, or the fizziness of brushing your teeth, or whatever it is, the silliest things, right? If you choose that joy, if you choose joy, you've just made yourself vibrate at a higher level. And when you vibrate at a higher level, scientifically proven, you are restructuring your cells and giving them new information that we want this level of vibration in this body now. And so in turn, that information goes into the universe and comes back to us with, we want more of this. We want more of this. We want more of this.
And Kelly, that's right in line with, you know, I'm sure many people are familiar with the experiences of having certain thoughts, and then they encounter 2 or 3 different people who don't know each other, who start talking about what they themselves had a thought about. That is spirit working.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
that is spiritual energy.
That's
You
right.
know, you might be confused about something. The universe will bring it to you. The universe will find a way to deliver clarity. However, you have the free will to choose whether or not to accept it.
That's right. I have this on my.
It all begins and ends in your mind. What you give power to has power over you if you allow it. So for those of you, oh gosh, it's Monday again.
Right.
Think
Right.
very carefully about that.
Yes.
You know,
You know.
hooray, it's Monday.
Right.
It's
Why
going
not
to
be
be
like,
a
yes,
great
it's Monday.
day.
Yeah.
There you go.
Change it.
And see what happens. You know, try a different approach. Rewrite that narrative
Yeah.
because thoughts and words are binding.
They
You cannot
are.
unthink it and you cannot unsay it.
That's right.
So when you think it and you speak it, you put it out there.
Yes. That brings me actually to my next point, because words are vibration. And when we
Mhm.
write words, we are spelling. It's spell work. And so many people overlook that. Our words that we speak and our words that we write and our words that we think are spell work. They are vibration. You are just as much of a witch as anybody else. You are just as much of a spiritual person as anybody else, whether you're aware of it or not. What you give power
So
to.
please don't curse yourself.
That's right. So
with
don't.
negative thoughts.
Yes, because a lot of people don't realize they really are self-sabotaging their own life, their own well-being, their own happiness and joy from their thoughts,
yes,
from their words,
yes.
and what they want to give energy to. Would you rather appreciate?
They're sabotaging the experience because they're forecasting the negative. You know, I mean, a lot of times you'll hear statements like, "Oh, this person's such a pain in my blank."
Yeah.
When you say that enough times, you will physiologically develop a pain in that area.
In your rear end.
There'll be something, you know. Oh,
yeah.
yes, this person raises my blood pressure.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Don't be surprised.
Right. Even
when it does happen.
Yes. And people who are in a relationship where they feel like they're not good enough for the person they're with, like they feel like that other person is above them. And they walk into this relationship, and that's because of their own self-love, lack of self-love, and lack of self-confidence. But they'll put that energy into this person is up here and I'm down here, so they don't really love me, right? They're not really going to stay with me, because why would they? I'm here and they're there. So if you've already put that energy into that, you've already sabotaged the whole damn relationship. Every bit of it.
Yes, because the foundation is slopey.
Yeah. Because it doesn't matter what this person up here is willing to do for the relationship. You're never going to see it.
You're always going to feel that you're not deserving.
Yes. So
self-love is a topic that is something that we should talk about. It's a topic for another time. But self-love is extremely important because it is the key to either a fulfilled life or a life of turmoil. And it's heavy. There's a lot of stuff that's packed in there. But what you said, because we are spiritual beings and our words and our thoughts are like spells, if that is the thought that you have in, you know, in a relationship, whether it's with an intimate partner, whether it's with friends, whether it's with an employer, whether it's with a business, it will not end in harmony. There will always be disharmony because that is the energy that you are putting forward.
Because you created a spell. You just spell cast that whole relationship to be doomed.
Yes. Yes.
And unless you change your
know,
thought,
if you find
that, you don't change the spell. It's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So mote it be.
You find yourself asking, why is this person with me? You know, they're so this. Then you shouldn't be in a relationship because you have a lot to learn about loving yourself and your own self-worth.
Exactly.
You know.
And that goes back to the way that we're taught as children to be selfless, right? We are taught to be selfless. We are always taught how to treat other people and how to love them. But we aren't really, there's no focus on teaching children how to love themselves, to congratulate themselves, right? Unless they're out there giving a trophy to everybody just for participation, which I also disagree with, because competition is a healthy thing. So, you know, it's necessary. That balance is necessary. But
and therein begins the change of the psyche. So we are taught as children how to be kind to others, how to do everything to others.
Yeah.
We are rewarded when we do nice things for others.
And we're punished when we do it for ourselves.
Yes. But there's nothing that teaches us how to take care of us. There is nothing that teaches us the power of the word no. So we start to create this void where boundaries aren't clearly defined.
Yeah.
Where we have our own wants and our own needs, but we can't speak on them, so we sort of withdraw.
Yeah.
And then there's the hollowness that develops.
Right, exactly.
And really,
and it starts in childhood
to take care of
everybody. Everybody that has issues with loving their self, it started in their childhood. So when we say to people, you need to heal your inner child, and they're like, but nothing happened in my childhood that I need to heal from. Yes, it did, man. Yes, it did. Because we were all taught that if you love yourself and you do something good for yourself, you're selfish. You're bad.
That means you're selfish.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we all have an inner child that needs healed. All of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I wanted to just share too, on the positive side of this societal focus, I do see things changing in society, not just in the way we interact and raise children and treat children and teach children. But for Christmas, I bought my little girl these little dolls that are called Vibe Girls, Good Vibes Girls. And every one of them is an animal, represents animal kingdom. Another one represents nature. Another one represents the ocean specifically. Another one is simply, she represents kindness and the heart. And that was the first one she got, actually. And she wants to collect all of them. But they come with a diary, and they come with like 65 stickers that are self-assuring, self-confidence, self-love type stickers, self-empowering stickers that you put in a little diary.
This is
and I was like, that's the best thing. Like, we need more of that type of toys and interactment for our children.
That is wonderful.
Yes, I really love them. Good
vibes.
And we were gonna name the news program.
Yeah.
Good vibes.
and not just is that a great tool, toy and tool for starting to teach children at a younger age how to be self-empowered. It also helps them connect with the earth at large.
Yes.
All the elements.
Everything. Yes. Yeah, it's like an all-encompassing doll. I love it. Yeah. And she loves it because she's already naturally connected. So that's, I mean, she just can't wait to get every single one of them. you know. Yeah, because,
It'll be Christmas every day in your household.
well, her birthday's in March, so she'll get some more of them for her birthday.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then just before March, there's February, Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe she'll get one for her. I really should have probably waited to get the kindness vibes for Valentine's Day, now that you think about it, because it's the one about love. Oh, well, I'll work it out.
But they all mean love. Deep down, they all mean love.
Yes, they do. Right. They really do.
Love, connection, respect.
And loving of self, like loving and appreciating the things around you in your environment, and the love of self, all encompassing in that one little doll. And it's so simple. It's just a little, like a 6-inch tall doll. And she's cute as she can be. I might pause the video and go get her just to show you. She really is cute. She was my favorite one out of all of them.
That's so wonderful. Makes me want one.
Yeah.
Makes me want the whole set myself.
Like, I'll be a spokesperson for them. You know, they don't even have to pay me. I think it's great what they're doing for kids. It's really great.
It's lovely to hear that. It's lovely to see that and to know that that now exists. So
yeah,
there's the departure from those other strange things that they call toys
that detach,
things like this that are really meaningful.
They completely detach you from self. Yeah, like video games. Video games cause a total disconnect and detachment to reality, you know. So I mean, my kids play some video games, but it's very, very limited because I have a lot of issues being the person I am. I have a lot of issues with it.
For me, the thing with video games, the colors that they use are psychologically based to keep you trapped in the areas of the brain that it affects. The games, you know, they have age limits on them, but the reality is you don't really know anybody's maturity level when placed in a specific situation.
Exactly.
You could have a 6-year-old respond much more calmly to some sort of hostile attack than a 50-something-year-old. You know, it is the situation that determines the person's level of experience.
Yeah.
And many of the people that play the games, their brains are not mature.
Yeah.
And the games become their world.
Right.
And what does all that energy do?
Yeah, it makes them aggressive and anxious and angry and upset. And yeah, I mean,
yes,
my 5-year-old, he is high functioning autistic. And when he plays those games where you have to fight or defend yourself, once he gets off, I mean, he loves the game, but then once he gets off of the game, he's still in that energy. And I don't like that, you know? And I mean, if we think about soldiers that have to go to Iraq or Iran or Afghanistan or wherever they're going, you know, they're in that constant flux of, you know, live or die and war, and it messes with their psychology. And so then when they come back to the States, it's very hard for them to acclimate back into everyday life, right? So take that understanding and apply it to children or teenagers who play these war games all the time, right? I mean, what kind of state of mind did you just put your child's psychology into? Their psychological thinking, you know, you just step them into that energy. Yeah, and people don't think about it. They don't think about it at all.
And they've become, the games look like they've become more and more realistic.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not Tetris anymore.
No, it's not.
You know,
Tetris and Yara's Revenge.
and
No, there's real blood and real
yeah,
gore.
and that's yeah, that's what's scary. You know, gone are the days of Connect Four and Cluedo.
Right.
You know, here is, you know, everything that's, you know, artillery and this, and it's all about gunning this down, and you know, creating hero savior mentality. But really what you're doing is you're altering the mind, and you're altering the way the brain works, and you're altering what somebody is taking in. It is not everything that the mind is supposed to see, because remember, you cannot unsee certain things.
Right. Exactly.
So there are things that you will see, and they will forever change you, because internally your body does not know how to respond.
Yeah.
To respond to something like that.
Yeah. And it teaches that detachment from self.
Yeah.
It teaches that detachment from respecting other life, you know.
Yes.
And again, that I mean, it just goes back to those choices that we make in everyday life. Where are we going to embrace our spirituality, or are we going to deny our true self? And are we going to teach our children to embrace their true self, or to deny it? You know, are you Judas or Jesus? Right? To put it in Christian terms, who are you? Yeah. Who are you? Who do you choose to be? And again, no judgment on those people, because we all learn differently. No. We're all on a different journey. I'm not saying like right or wrong. I'm just saying this is spirituality. This is what it really means to be spiritual, and it's a choice.
And there's free will.
And there's free will.
That's where the free will comes in, you know? So you can either embrace it, or you can deny it. Right.
And you know what? And that's another thing we need to talk about, Francis, is spiritual people being judgmental and putting other people in, and being snobbish, right? Because we shouldn't be snobbish toward other people. We should not judge them.
Because they've reached a level of ascension. Do they have a PhD in ascensionship?
Right.
It's the ego then, isn't it?
It's the ego. So get rid of your egos on whatever side you're on. Get rid of your egos and just love yourself. And that's what you worry about. Worry about yourself. Don't worry about others. Because it doesn't matter if somebody else that's spiritual smokes cigarettes. It doesn't matter if somebody else that's spiritual wants to eat refined sugar or boxed foods. You know, I mean, if that's their choice,
that has nothing.
Right. You can certainly think that it's not healthy. And yes, of course, we can agree logically it's not healthy, right? But it's not our place to judge. And so
that's right. I was just about to say.
Yeah, spiritual people shouldn't be snobbish either.
No, shouldn't be snobbish, and also shouldn't be shitheads. You know, stop shitting down on other people, because again, it's the one up. It's not wanting to be at the bottom. Then I would have to ask, are you really spiritual? Because the first thing you should do is recognize that everybody is on their own journey. You know, spirituality has nothing to do with what Kelly chooses to do or what Francis chooses to do. Kelly and Francis different things. It doesn't make one more spiritual than the other. It's just what works for my body and for me is different from what works for Kelly.
Right. I mean, I actually had a lady tell me once who was going for her bachelor in metaphysics. She told me that because I don't meditate X amount of hours a day and sit in my little triangle pyramid like she does, that I'm not really spiritual and that I'm not really connected and that I'm not this and I'm not that. And I thought, well, how brazen of you to tell me what I'm not when I'm the only one that could know what I am.
There you go. There you go. And by the way, I didn't even know that there was such a thing as a degree in metaphysics.
I didn't either.
Here comes the corruption again.
Right? I didn't either. Yeah, that in and of itself struck me as odd.
Who wrote the curriculum?
Right. Like,
what is it based on?
Yeah. What are they teaching you? Exactly.
What are they teaching you?
Yeah.
What is your graduation requirement?
Yeah. What are they
you
leaving
able
out?
to? What are they leaving out?
Yeah.
When you're able to bring an object to you that you desire without getting up, then we can have a conversation. But until then, thank you for letting me know everything that I must not be, because I know everything that I am.
Exactly.
And that's just, and that is really, really wrong. And I find this a lot, like it's not unique just to the spiritual lifestyle. You see this a lot, this othering in all areas of life, in organized religion, in politics, in all areas of life, there is this level of othering. But there is one space where it's should not be tolerated, and that is the spiritual space, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Judgment is, it's a really cruel thing, judgment, but judgment comes from a place of ego.
Yes.
And when we talk about spirituality and someone is trying to tell you that you can't be this, this, and this because of something that you're doing or things that you do in your life, that's judgment. But nobody can really judge your spirituality, not even you, actually.
Right.
Because it's through your own reflective moments that you then recognize just how far you've gone. You could have an incident that happens this year that is similar to something that happened 10 years ago, and you handle it so differently. And you're like, wow.
Right.
It's the journey.
Right. Yeah, I think.
I also.
Go ahead.
I also feel that when people are judgy, it is about something within them that's not right, that's not aligned.
Yeah, I think judgment is like another trigger, right? It's one of those triggers. Right. So you need to look within and ask yourself, you know, am I putting myself in a box to be a certain way? And am I then expecting others to be in that same box with me? Because, you know, a lot of us in the spiritual circle, for lack of a better word, you know, because we have our groups of spiritual people that we hang out with and we talk to, or that we listen to, or you know, get guidance from, or whatever, even if we don't actually speak with them. And so we tend to put all of that into a file, into a box with a label, and we say, this is what this looks like. And so then we tend to judge others if they don't agree with that opinion. Yet we also all, we vilify mainstream media, we vilify censorship, we vilify politics and politicians. We we don't like the way they do things, yet here we are finding ourselves doing the same thing, censoring people, judging people, labeling people, expecting them to be the same as us, when all the while we're still saying individuality is a beautiful thing. We should all be individuals. But no, really, a lot of people in the spiritual realms, world, circle, however you want to word it, label it, they have expectations. They're judgy, right? I mean, yes, it's great to be with people who are like-minded, but that doesn't mean that they're all going to have the same frame of mind and the exact same opinion or the exact same way of doing something. And we should honor and embrace each and every person for their own journey. And just the fact that they're trying to grow, they should get their props for that, right? Give them credit where credit is due, that at least they're trying to improve their self, because that's what spirituality really is at its core, is just about us getting in touch with ourselves and learning ourselves. And
Right.
so we need to remember to think about those triggers, think about that ego that's in us that maybe we didn't even realize was there. You know, maybe take a look within again, because that's another thing. People think that once you get on this spiritual journey and you've become enlightened or awakened in some sense, that you never have to go back to the Hall of Shadows and look at yourself again. You always need to go back and look at yourself again and do that check-in, right? Because we're always growing. We're always
a
changing.
duality.
It's duality.
It is a duality.
Yeah.
The Hall of Shadows walks with us on our path. And
Yeah.
at any point in time, the angle of the light can switch and the Hall of Shadows is in the forefront. And we have to be brave and walk down that hall to ensure that there is no lesson there that we miss. But when we find ourselves in that place, it is because there is something that we need to work on that is within ourselves. A lot of the issue is the language. It's the how we have come to logicalize things, right?
Right.
So you're spiritual, there's an image of what a spiritual person should look like.
Right.
You know, I should probably be running around with long flowing skirts, bare feet, spinning around in a beautiful meadow. Yes, I'd love to do that, but that's really not, exactly. That's not my life.
But it's not
My
practical.
life is,
Life.
20 degrees, unicorn onesie, you know.
Right.
That's, my life is, I really want to listen to, to this podcast on such and such topic because I'm interested and sleep came for me. It doesn't mean that because I couldn't stay up and stick toothpicks in my eyes to listen to that podcast, I've lost one of my spiritual notches. No. Spirituality is your individual, it's your individual sacred space.
Yeah.
Only you know about that space. Only you know whether you're true to it.
Right.
And only you are going to answer for whether or not you're true to it.
Right.
It is not you come in and, you're spiritual now, boom, okay, put your forehead to the thing, let's test your spiritual level. Oh, you dropped 2 notches this week, you need to go do blah. It's not how it works.
Yeah.
It works different. It's different for each person, but it is a space that really embodies the ultimate goal of spirituality, is to be at one with spirit. And that's when you have achieved perfection. And you can't do that with judgment.
Right.
And so simple exercises, if you catch yourself getting dressed, all of a sudden you think to yourself, oh, I shouldn't wear this. Then ask yourself, why are you thinking you shouldn't wear it? Because it says something is off balance. something is not aligned.
Right.
Are you
Like,
who you are, or are you trying to be who you are?
that's a good point too, actually, because in the summertime, I'm a very free-spirited type person. I don't like to wear bras. I don't like to wear shoes, and I wear things that are comfortable on me and that I think I look good in, right? And I appreciate the body that I'm in. And my mama taught me, if you got it, flaunt it. Okay. So a lot of times in the summertime, I'll have low cut tops on, or low cut sundresses. And I actually had a lady leave me a very snarky comment on one of my videos that I did for tarot, where she didn't like my low cut dress. She didn't think that it was appropriate because I'm a spiritual person to wear a low cut dress. And I thought, well, how ridiculous is that? I mean, it's not the clothing that you're wearing, it's the way that you act in the clothing you're wearing. You still carry yourself with dignity.
Again,
You should be able to wear anything you want to wear that you feel comfortable in, right? And
again,
so,
again,
yeah, judgment.
somebody who is disillusioned,
Right,
based on the corruption
right,
that they've received for goodness knows how long as to what being spiritual means.
right, exactly. And
You know?
even with talking about star children and light workers and stuff like that, people think, oh, well, you must be saintly and you must be this and you must be that. And if you're not, then they judge you. And then again, even with yourself, you may look at yourself and think, well, I couldn't be a star child, or I couldn't be a light worker because I'm not this. Well,
There is no prescription of what it means to be a light worker. The
no,
calling that is for you comes from within.
right,
It comes from within. We
right,
all have a different calling and we all have different gifts. And
exactly,
it all comes from within. And we all look differently. I mean, best believe if it was 95 degrees and we were doing this in the Amazon, I would definitely not have all the sun. I might just have a little wraparound. That doesn't make me any more spiritual or any less spiritual. The
right,
things that I put on my body have nothing to do with what is deep within my heart.
right,
It has nothing to do with my connection to source.
yeah, right,
There are people, I have family members that, my aunt, she'll ask, she'll tell me to pray very well, and I admire my aunt. My aunt can pray.
mm-hmm.
I mean, these are people from the old school. They can pray for days nonstop.
Right,
20 minutes, I'm done.
right,
Because that's not my calling. It
right,
doesn't mean that I didn't pray well.
right,
It just means that what I've been given as my tool is different.
yeah,
Doesn't make me less spiritual or more spiritual.
right. And
And there are things that happen in life that will jolt you forward because you need to be at a certain place to prepare for something, but also pull you back because there's still work that needs to be done.
yeah,
But we need to remove the human language of how we should look, the 3D style of things. We need
yes,
to look like this. Light workers do this. Spiritualists only eat this. No.
right, right. And while we're on the subject here with prayer, the mention of prayer, that goes back to judgment and of self and of others. When I was young, I remember crying one time to my mother and confessing that I cannot ever, ever finish my prayers. I always fall asleep before I finish my prayers. And I felt guilty and I felt terrible. And she cradled me up in her arms and she said, but my love, you fell asleep in the presence of God. So don't feel bad
There you
because you
go.
get to amen. And it changed my whole
There you
perception.
go.
That was such an important marker for me, an important lesson for me, because it was
Right.
a lesson in self-love and self-accomplishment and self-acceptance, that it was okay that I fell asleep before the prayer ended. I didn't have to do it the way
Mhm.
other people do. And that was a very,
Yes.
very
Yes. That was,
pivotal lesson for me in life.
yes. Yes, that's wonderful. That is that is the true meaning of a mother's love. You know, I could just feel the warmth radiate out
Yeah,
when she said, it
yeah,
doesn't matter because you fell asleep in the presence of God. That is unconditional love right there. It is about finding the joy, because let's look at it on the other end.
which makes a great teacher.
Telling you off. No,
Unconditional love makes
yeah,
a great teacher. Yeah,
exactly. Had mom told you off, what would you have learned?
to feel
You
bad.
wouldn't tell her anymore.
I wouldn't.
You'd
And I
feel
would have
bad.
felt bad about myself. I would have felt less
Or
than.
if there
Yeah,
you go.
yeah,
Yeah. It's my hope, and what I put out, my vibration, is that more and more humans like me and you will recognize that there is peace and there is through true joy that's not described in the dictionary.
yeah.
When you make that connection,
It's
it's
simple.
not a connection. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just there's just a sense of knowing,
yeah.
and it's not a connection. I don't want people to think like, oh, all of a sudden you're gonna hear angels. Now you might,
You
not
might,
saying you won't,
but you might
but you
not.
might, and you might not.
Right.
But it's not like that. you know I challenge folks who may feel that they can't be spiritual or that they're not spiritual to make a note every time they think something is a coincidence. you know
Yeah.
you look at the time, it's 2:02. You're driving later on that afternoon, the car in front of you's license plate is 2:02.
Right.
I just, you know, I just challenge folks, and they will see that there is spirit in everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it when people say, I just have that feeling? I've got that gut feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been having that gut feeling, but they never called me to tell me I won the Powerball, so that's a different story.
Right.
But I was wanting that gut feeling. I brought that gut feeling to myself. But what is your gut feeling? It's your instinct. What's your instinct? It's your intuition. What's your intuition? It's your inner knowing. It's from that
And
deep,
it's
sacred
and that,
space.
right. And that is consciousness. And what is consciousness? Consciousness is
That is
everything. It's everything. It's you, it's me, it's that lamp,
everything.
it's the tree, it's everything. Consciousness is bouncing off of everything and learning from it and putting feedback out there and then growing. And that's exactly what we do as people. We learn, we grow from it, we move on. We may have to learn a lesson 2 or 3 times or 12. It's different for everybody. You know, I just had to learn a very
Consciousness.
I just had to learn a very pivotal lesson that I've learned 7 times in my past. It's the most important lesson I've ever taught to anybody. And I had to learn it again because there was still something else I needed to see that I had yet to notice about all of it. So it's okay if you have to learn more than once. It's okay if you have to learn 12 times, right? Because it's your journey. it's your personal lessons. So
I mean, think about it this way. You talk about consciousness, and consciousness is the reason why some people can stand bare feet on a newspaper and tell you what's in that newspaper.
yeah,
You know, that's consciousness.
yeah,
Consciousness is when we listen. You talk about going back and having to relearn things. As we transition from being babies into walking little beings, we don't fall twice and give up on walking.
yeah,
We keep going, right?
yeah.
And
And
then we become
you know,
adults.
walk with no stumbles and no falling down, right?
There you go. And then, we become adults. And some people continue their journey and have no fear of jumping out airplanes, skydiving,
Right.
doing those sorts of things. And guess what? They get banged up, yet they go back and do it again.
Yeah.
Consciousness is when we listen to a song and we're like, I didn't realize that was in this song, because
Right.
we hear something different this time around.
Right.
It's and with consciousness, there's no judgment. If everybody could just do one thing, and that is just pick one day and say that that is going to be your mindful, judgment-free day. You are going to purposely be mindful of holding no judgment on that day.
That is
It would be beautiful.
exercise. Yes.
Yeah,
Excellent.
it would be beautiful.
Yes.
And you would see how easy it would be. Because the minute the judgment comes in, think about a windshield washer, right? When you're in the car and it's raining, and then the rain comes down and the windshield washer wipes it away. Well, in your mind, you get up and say, oh, it's cloudy today. Well, think about the windshield washer changing that and rewrite the narrative.
Right. Right. And that actually made me think about something else too. At the beginning of this, we were talking about how people sort of look at spiritual people as saintly, right? Higher than, above. Okay, well, in a very real sense of the word, eventually we are becoming that better person, right? As we grow to sainthood type status.
We are becoming a better version of ourselves.
Of self, of your soul, right? And it may take many lifetimes. It does take many lifetimes for all of us to achieve that. But as we achieve that, as you learn more and more about self, and as you obtain more and more self-compassion and self-love, you also in turn naturally have more compassion for other people and their journey and where they're at in their journey and the level of their journey. And so the judgment and the ego and all of that falls off naturally with working on the self. So really, I think the key foundation thing to all of spirituality is just simply to mind the self, be mindful of the self. And we were even told that as children.
Be mindful. That's right.
Yeah, we were told that as children to, don't worry about what Johnny's doing, just worry about yourself, right? But that's such a real thing. Like, that's such a real thing. You can enjoy the company of all kinds of people. And, if
it's so real.
If it's your choice to only hang out with people who think exactly like you do, that's your choice. But I personally enjoy flavor, much like I enjoy many different kinds of food and many different types of flavors of drinks. I enjoy different flavors of people, right? I love character. I think it makes life interesting to have so many different people. I mean, look at our little group of close friends that we have, Francis. Everybody is similar, but everybody is
It's
so really very individual and unique and beautiful in their own right. And so if we look at God or source or the one as this whole puzzle, this perfect picture of a puzzle, and then you separate all of those pieces, every one of those pieces are necessary to make that whole, to make that picture.
that's right.
And every piece is
That's
different.
right.
It has a different shape. It has different images on it. But they're perfect, just like they are. They're perfect and they're necessary to be that shape and that color and that flavor to fit right where they're supposed to fit to make the whole picture.
That is so right. You put that so well. I personally am somebody who enjoys the flavor of different people, because I'm a traveler, many different sorts. So it's essential to me and to to my being. But I want people to remember that when you are with same, then you will never know different.
Right. It's that
And if you
duality.
don't know different, right,
It's the yin and the yang.
that's
Like
right.
you got to have both. Yeah. To appreciate one, you have to have them both.
Knowing different doesn't mean agreement with different,
Yeah.
but it's important
Acceptance.
to know.
It's acceptance.
There are many people who have gone down many different spiritual paths in this lifetime until they arrived at one that just resonated with them seamlessly.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It is extremely important to remove things like judgment, remove things like perception when we talk about spirituality. There is no place for it. That is the contamination of language.
Right.
There are cultures where people are spiritual and they go through practices, fertility rituals.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of sex involved.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those judgy people would say, oh, they're being promiscuous.
Right.
But it's all part of a ritual.
Right.
And after they're done, they move on. There are humans in this world who, when they are on their spiritual journey, depending on the energy at hand, it's gonna propel you to do certain things. Maybe there's something that you needed to close out from before.
Right.
Maybe there's something that you wanted before, but you didn't have. So you need to try get it over and done with so that you can continue to move on.
Yeah.
Spirituality is about being true to your own self. Makes you know better, makes you know worse.
That's
Are
right.
there people that have transformed and ascended differently? Yes, there are.
Yeah.
And it could be for a variety of different reasons. It could be because this is their ninth life, but it's not about other people.
Yeah.
It's about you. And when you stop worrying about other people or how do you dress or, oh my gosh, she's really spiritual. She got multicolored nails, in this, that, and the other, and all these low vibration human tendencies, then you'll really be at one and be at peace with your own self and your own soul and know what you need and be able to give it to yourself.
Exactly.
And it will open up many, many doors for you.
Right.
But I'm not the sort of person that, that would engage in negative conversation around my spirituality because I would basically simply just say, I'm either going to shut this down now or have my ancestors do it. Pick one. because
Right.
it's not a debate conversation.
Right.
It can be a conversation that could be a little bit lopsided if somebody's seeking information from you and looking to you as a mentor, or, you know, or in the role of a mentee. But
Yeah.
it's not a debate. I can't. Is that a tattoo I see poking through your sleeve of your shirt, Kelly? I can't believe you've got a tattoo. You're supposed to be spiritual.
Right.
Yeah,
And
and
actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was just thinking, you know, I am a mentor. I am a teacher, right? I give spiritual guidance and spiritual advice. And I want you to still use discernment whether or not what I say resonates with you. Just because I give guidance and I give advice doesn't mean that you have to listen to it. If it's not for you, then it's not for you. And listen, I am no saint. People may look at me like I have all this wonderful stuff or something. I don't really know how they look at me, but you know, I'm a regular person with kids and problems in my life and relationship problem after relationship problem. I've been married 5 times. I have 7 children from 4 different men. You know, that had nothing to do with anybody else except me and my journey. You know, in my early 20s, I worked as a striptease dancer because I loved dancing. It was fun. That if someone were to try to be vindictive toward me and go thumbing through my past, they'd be like, oh, look, see, she used to do this. So what? You know, so what if I did that? I'm not murdering people. I'm not stealing from them. You know, I'm not like breaking laws. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's so important. I'm so glad you brought that up, Kelly, because there is a realness to that people need to understand.
yeah,
You
and I
know,
have 21
spiritual
tattoos,
people.
right? I have 21 tattoos
Yeah,
also was the other thing. And most of them I put on my own daggone body myself. I own a tattoo gun. I love
yeah,
tattoos, right? My belly
yeah,
button's pierced. Big deal. I mean, it doesn't change,
yeah.
you know, who I am in my heart, right?
And that is, you you just gave, if somebody said realness and opened up the dictionary, everything you just described is what they would see.
And that's,
Because
I want people to know that
that,
yeah,
but that's the realness. Like, there were real, genuine human beings
yes, right,
that are spiritual. Okay,
right,
it does not
right.
mean everything is perfect.
No,
It does not mean does not mean we don't scream. It does not mean things don't go airborne.
right,
It just means that we have a connection
right,
to our higher self that
right.
we work on continuously. The clothes we wear, the jewelry we wear, the body art that we wear do not define
Right,
who we are.
right. And
It is who and what we are.
I don't ever want to hide who I am or who I've ever been in this lifetime, um, because I want people to understand that whatever it is that they think of me now, present day, is exactly obtainable for them as well. You know, because
Mhm.
yes, I worked as a striptease dancer, and 2 years later, I raised my 10-year-old daughter from the dead. True story. So, you know, when I say that I'm here to finish what Jesus was trying to teach people, I mean it, Francis.
Mhm.
I really mean it, because he was telling everybody he's no different, he's no better, he's not up here on this status higher than everyone else. And I'm not either. just because I raised the dead, just because I can do miraculous things. I mean, I can affect some electricity and some wild stuff, right? But I hurt like everybody else. I make mistakes just like everybody else. I'm on my own individual journey, just like everybody else. Like we are all human in this moment. We're all human. And we have no room for anything except self-love, self-worth.
And self-love and self-worth is an all day, every day thing.
Yes.
It makes life a lot more flavorful.
I knew you were going to say that.
And I know, and it really, really allows you to embrace the fact that bad decisions make good stories because you live. You know, what is the point of being alive if you don't live? You live. You have a journey that you can speak on.
Yeah.
And there should be joy as
Yeah.
part of that journey. Joy should be an integral part of that journey.
Right. And I don't need a bachelor's degree in metaphysics to tell you how to look at yourself and go within and learn from your own mistakes and love yourself, especially like relationships, human nature, that kind of stuff. Like that's why my journey was what it was, because I am meant to be, my destiny in life is to help others to not make those same mistakes, to not feel that same pain, go through those same traumas. And yeah, I went through a lot of shit. I mean, people really don't know the half of what I've been through. I've been through some shit, some really bad stuff. And it's okay with me that I went through it, because if I didn't go through it, I wouldn't know how to be the teacher I am today. I wouldn't know. I would just be some blowhard fraud.
You getting a master's degree or a PhD in metaphysics. I mean, that is this topic that I would like to speak on one of these days, is how do you acquire these degrees in something as vast as metaphysics? Who wrote the curriculum? Because for me, that's like getting a degree in spirituality. Such a thing doesn't exist.
Right.
Now, you can read individual chronicles on people's journeys, but not really quite sure how the metaphysics thing works in terms of an educational degree. Like, what are they teaching?
I don't know. I don't know.
You know, I'm curious. I might look it up because I'm just really curious to see what's on the curriculum. You know, I mean, it just metaphysics. It's all metaphysics. It's like a master's degree in esoteric. It's all metaphysics. It's all vast.
Right.
It's all got so many names.
Yeah, like that's kind of a vague.
It's all tied in.
That's kind of a vague thing to say, right? That you've got a bachelor in metaphysics. Because, I mean, what would that mean, really?
But
I don't know. Strange.
Spirit and spirituality, Spirit's interesting. When you find yourself talking to yourself, that's all right. It's really yourself is talking to your higher self.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are, I just normalize those things. But I really, for me, the takeaway that I want people to understand is that it's not you are going to see this mirage and spirit beckons you and you follow. It's not like that. Spirit's in you. Spirit's probably been tapping, and it's different for everyone. And what I love about what we do is we create a space where we can have the typical conversation.
Yeah.
You know, what happens in everyday life to everyday people who are spiritual,
Right.
you know, and the shit hits the fan and you've got to, you know, do your ugly cry and use your sleeve to wipe your boogers. Yep. You're not exempt from that because you're spiritual.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
when the postman comes and you're all excited, you think it's something good, and there's an extra bill in there that you didn't plan for, and now you don't know how you're gonna,
Yeah.
you know, get that bill covered. You're not exempt from that because you're spiritual.
Right.
So it's not as though being spiritual is not this thing that exempts you from the hardships of life. Being spiritual enables you on your journey through life so that when those moments come up, you've built up the armor and you know whether to go over, to go through, or to go around. That's really what being spiritual is.
And
And
always,
it will be different for everybody.
yeah, it's the choice to still walk in faith, even in the face of chaos.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out to you publicly right now, she's not heard this before, guys. Frances often quotes my intent mantra. She
That's
knows
right.
it so well that she knows
I will remain calm and centered.
I actually have to read it off the wall to remember all the words. Okay. Where I used to have it memorized, but she says it more than I do now. And I found it very odd and awkward at first. And I contemplated on that the other day. Why do I find that odd and awkward? And it was because I needed to look at the words in my own intent mantra closely again, and to remind myself that regardless of the chaos I have recently walked in, that I remain calm and I remain connected to spirit. And so I want to publicly thank you for teaching me that again.
You are welcome. And I thank you for coming up with that, because it has served me, but it has also served others by way of me sharing it with them.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think I've shared with you that it's 3 times a day, yet each time I say it, I feel a different energy.
Yes.
There is always something that I need that draws me and pulls me in.
Yes.
At the time that I came across the intent mantra, there was so much going on in my life. I was floating. I was not resisting, but I was just floating, like, all right, not sure where we're gonna go. Okay, we're going off the deep end here. Okay, we're going. Oh, no life jacket. Okay, we're just gonna sink, you know. But that line, I will remain calm and centered, even through chaos. That speaks volumes, because when spirit is with you, doesn't matter what else is going on.
That's right.
There is that inner calm. There is that inner peace. And because you have that, it allows you to elevate so that you can see the situation at hand clearly.
Yes.
You know, I love the intent mantra.
We were talking earlier about how words are a spell and they have a vibration, which means they have a power, they have an energy. And at the time that I channeled, for lack of a better word, I channeled that mantra, reaching out to spirit in a very low, volatile, chaotic, and even dangerous time in my life. I had found myself in a relationship with a man who was not only physically and verbally abusive, but was also trying to poison me to death behind my back.
Mm.
And I had 5 children to think of. And I was really struggling to keep my sanity, to keep my health, to find my way out. And I sat in the floor and I connected with spirit. And I said, give me the knowledge I need to remove myself from this energy. From this energy is what I asked for. Not get me out of this house, not get me away from him. Remove me from this energy. And those words started flowing out of my pen. So from the emotional state that I was in at the time of bringing those words into reality, it put a spell in them. It cast an intention that I knew when I was done, I would share with the world so that we could all change our energy if we needed to.
I'm so glad that you did. You know, another thing that I wanted to share with people about the mantra is I recognize, you know, many people are, everyone's busy, everybody's rushing around, you know, people are like, oh gosh, I got to memorize this. No, you don't have to memorize. It's not a school paper. There's no test, no memorization needed, because it will come.
Yeah.
My mind is calm. I am connected to, it will just come to you, you know, and I want people to know that there's no right way to say it. There's no wrong way to say it.
Yeah.
You might even find certain lines just keep repeating themselves in your mind. And if they do, embrace it and repeat them out loud.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get twitchy energy. Like, I literally don't know what to do with myself. Like, I feel like I'm going to just spontaneously combust. You know, I want to do nothing and everything at the same time. Like, not even hematite can help me at that point, because it's that kind of like twitchy energy. And it's like, okay, I need to. And I'll just say, my mind is calm. I am connected to spirit. Spirit flows through me. I'll just repeat that to myself. And that'll just like calm me. Because literally, sometimes like out of the blue, I'll just go from one type of energy to another craze, disco, roller derby, you name it, all mixed up, like really senseless and just a whirlwind of different emotions. And I need to ground.
Yep.
You know, because that for me, I recognize that as, okay, I'm spinning, nothing happened to trigger, but something is off and I need to ground and come back to the present before I spin myself off the cliff or into, you know, a negative way of thinking. But I really encourage people to, you know, go on the website, listen to the mantra. It's closed captioned. It's even on the YouTube. Write it down. Just write it down. And you know what? If you really are that busy, then there's something you need to take away. But you could put this on your bathroom mirror, on the wall in the bathroom, as you're brushing your teeth. Just pay attention to those words, like call spirit forward, because that's all spirit needs is permission.
Yeah.
Now, spirit does have a sense of humor, so
yep.
The spirit doesn't respond. Don't worry, spirit heard you. But you know, it's just these are the tools that are out there, and you know that they are genuine when people share them out of love.
Right.
You know, that's what it means to be spiritual.
Yeah.
It's not about having 3 a.m. meetings and doing whatever you know, they do on these TV shows to convey spiritual. It's not all that. It's the moment that you have to be as honest as possible with yourself.
Yeah. And that's a real trick, isn't it? For people to just be honest with themselves.
Yeah. Be honest with yourself. If you can't be honest with yourself, then who on earth could you be honest with?
Right. Exactly.
It all starts with self. You have to be honest with yourself.
Always. Yeah.
And know that everything's going to be all right.
Yeah.
It will all, you know, that's why we don't worry about what Johnny's doing, because we're on our own journey. Johnny's on Johnny's own journey, you know. So if we worry about us, our own honesty, our own connection to spirit and our own self, it will always be all right.
That's right.
We will not always get what we want, because what we want is not always what is good for us. Remember now.
Yes.
But we will get what we need that is good for us.
Yes. Because rejection is God's protection.
Oh, yes. Deliverance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
And if
yeah.
you're not, I also want to add to that if you're not being honest with yourself and you become aware of that, then ask yourself why you're not. Really look at that. Really ask yourself, okay, why did I just lie to myself about that?
Yeah.
Why am I doing that? What am I afraid of? What am I scared to look at?
Yeah.
Because there's probably something there.
And it is okay, because it's an ongoing lifetime of learning how to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
It's not, you know,
Process.
right, Kelly? It's not like, oh, you embrace a spiritual life and boom, you're now honest with yourself.
Oh, no.
No. It's an ongoing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Even in
Ongoing.
relationships, like relationships that you have with people, you're not always honest with yourself about it not being a good relationship. You know?
Nope.
You lie to yourself.
Nope.
Because
You're
you
right.
really want it to be something else. So, yeah, I mean, it's an ongoing process that we have to, and we will trick ourselves up and maybe lie to ourselves about one thing, but tell ourselves the truth about everything else. So, you know, yeah, it's a process. And I think that's a good place to end this. This has been a great discussion. Really, really great discussion.
I enjoyed it.
I did too, very much. Would you like to say any closing words before we go?
So I am going to say 2 closing words, and it is the last line of your mantra, which is spirit flows through me and spirit flows through you. So.
Yes. Very good. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, be well and be blessed.